Speaker.
I call Denise Roach.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I rise to take a call for the Greens on this bill. We will be supporting this bill because we see it as quite a sensible and positive step forward for the people of Niue, Tokelau and the Cook Islands. It's really one of those bills that it's all in the title basically, which is it's about the portability of social assistance for Cook Islands, Niue and Tokelau people. So what happens now is that people who have contributed to New Zealand's economy throughout their adult lives, who are originally from these islands, and these islands are nations of the realm, which means that these people who've been working in our country in New Zealand are our citizens, they're New Zealand citizens as well. So what happens now is that they can't return to their home countries and access a New Zealand superannuation benefit unless they are 65 and are already receiving it. So they can't do that. But the changes in this bill are very positive, and that doesn't go as far as some people would want, and in fact there are some problems around that. But the changes are that a person who has worked in New Zealand from one of those nations who's worked here after the age of 20 for 10 years, and 5 years of those have been after the age of 50, they will be able to access the New Zealand superannuation from their home country if that's what they want to do. It means that they can basically move back to their home countries as long as they have been present and resident, which are the exact words that are in the legislation, as long as they've been present and resident for the requirements as I've outlined, 10 years after the age of 20 and 5 of those years at least after the age of 55. My understanding, sir, is that this is not going to impact on a lot of people. And the regulatory impact statement, and the Minister in her introduction referred to it as well, it suggests that there's around 245 over 55-year-olds who, when this bill is passed, would be eligible to access New Zealand superannuation from Niue, Tokelau or the Cook Islands. And that only a further 16 or so per year subsequently from that would actually be able to do the same. But it does mean that these citizens of New Zealand, citizens of these island nations as well, will be able to go back to their home countries earlier than what they have done already. It's been suggested, sir, that this amendment, this bill, might go some way towards addressing some of the concerns that those small island nations have had around a shrinking population. And that's particularly of concern for Niue and Cook Island. The existing situation has been a disincentive for older citizens from there to go home, but after they've worked all their lives here, for example. It's been difficult for them to return home at a younger age, and this would actually be more beneficial to them because they will be able to go home earlier. And let's face it, why wouldn't you want to retire to a lovely, beautiful Pacific island? It's one of the problems we have on Waiheke, actually. It explains why we have a high number of retirees where I live as well. And it also makes sense to me that as you get older, there's more of a compelling desire to return to your home nations, to go and spend that time, your last years, with the people that you've grown up with. And that was certainly the reasoning that I heard from a man that I know who does live on Waiheke. He's in his early 60s, so has not been eligible. He's from the Cook Islands originally, and he moved to New Zealand as a young man, raised his family here. He's had a hard life of hard physical labour, and he described to me his yearning of wanting to go back to his ancestral lands. When this bill comes through, sir, he will be able to do that. And I can understand that kind of attachment, the call of your whakapapa, the call of your whenua to come back home. So it's going to be great that he'll be able to do that. It's a shame that he wasn't able to do it when he was a more active man. However, he will get there before 65 if this goes through, and I'm sure it will, as it seems to have cross-party support across the House. And I guess the point that the governments of these countries have been very aware of is that that by bringing those people back to their small island nations, that it will help the economy. And that was something that was written in the regulatory impact statement that really resonated with me, which was New Zealand's commitment to those countries to help support them economically. And I'll quote from the regulatory impact statement, which says, it's the general policy statement, and it says that the changes take into account New Zealand's close constitutional ties with the Cook Islands, Niue and Tokelau, and are part of New Zealand's commitment to support their ongoing economic and social viability. So basically it's hoped that this bill will enable those islands to attract capital and skills from people who are able to contribute to these island nations' economies, and potentially from other New Zealanders who, if they fit the citizenship requirements there, would be able to retire there too. We'll be supporting this bill, sir. It's good to see the government actually wanting to assist our smaller island nations. We could be doing a lot more, of course, especially in the area of climate change impact, because it's these small island nations that are most affected by the impacts of climate change.
Order.
But are the ones, I'm coming back to it, sir. I was just giving examples, sir, of other things that this government could be doing to assist island nations, which fits with their our nation's requirement to honour our special relationships with these island nations, and they are the ones that are most affected by climate change, who have contributed the least emissions to the global carbon emissions, sir. So I think maybe we have a duty for that. But in the meantime, we support this bill. We acknowledge that it's a very tight and finely nuanced amendment to the Act that is being called for here, and we recognise that there may be submissions that are wider than what's in the bill, so that it could apply to a few more people. I hope the Select Committee will actually take those submissions on board when they come in, and that we may see further amendments to assist more people. Thank you, sir.
Speaker.
I call Derek Ball.